I changed it. Okay, welcome everybody to our Guest Artist Masterclass exclusive. We have Mr. Mark today, so let's put our hands together. Right, his name is Mark Murphy. He's no stranger to us. I was just reading an interesting fact about him, right? As we all know, he is the chief examiner in ANZCA. He's the author of all our ANZCA exams, our publication. He has also written 3 books today that he wants to share with us. Okay, so it's called Drum Kit Fills, Volume 1, 2, and 3. Okay, and personally, I've read his website and realized that he has done all the ANZCA exams, right? So from prelim all the way until diploma. And he is definitely, he has a wealth of knowledge to share with us today. So personally, he's a very good friend of mine, and he's one of the most hardworking drummers I've ever met, right? And he has been examining at my drum school for the past about eight years or so. Okay, so without further ado, let's put our hands together. Welcome Mr. Mark Murphy from Australia.
30 years ago, I started teaching drums just on a small basis back then, and there was a lot of resources for snare drum reading and rudiments and beats and that kind of stuff, but there was nothing around for fills. This was pre-internet, of course, and we just had to make them up. So I found that a lot of my students really enjoyed learning fills. It was one of their favourite subjects. They liked learning new tricks and moving things around the kit and having a bit of fun. So I used to just write the fills week by week in their book by hand, and the list of fills just kept growing over that period of time. So I didn't realise it then, but the seed was planted for this series of books way back then, but I didn't really realise it then. About 20 years ago, I actually decided I'd have a real crack at writing this series of books, and I was quite serious about it and wanted to really give it a go. But I just kept getting busy with gigs and rehearsals and recordings and having to write other books that popped up, and there's all these kinds of interruptions that took more of a priority for me. So at the end of 2014, I decided to dedicate 2015 to writing these books for real and getting it cracking. So throughout 2015, I did spend many hours locked up writing these books. So I kept a timesheet on it just out of interest, and it was 255 hours later, I had the whole series written in pencil, just handwritten. 2016 was torture. That's when I locked myself to my computer and had to notate all this stuff that I'd enjoyed writing so much the year before. So some people like James gave me a few tips on some Sibelius shortcuts, and my good friend Andrew Craggs in Melbourne helped me out with some things. 2017 was all to do with business and proofreading and all that kind of stuff, really painful again. So that 1 year of joy I had was smashed by all the stuff that came after it. And so this year's all been about barcodes and dealing with distributors and printers and all that stuff, and finally we're here. So 3.5 years later, I'm finally here. So it's hard to put into words just how excited I am about doing this tonight. It's been a long journey, something that I'm really passionate about, and there's nowhere else I'd rather be doing it than right here amongst my friends here in Singapore and at MDS, who have always been supportive of my work. So let's begin. The series has 3 volumes, as James mentioned. There are 996 fills throughout the series, and there are 12 solos in the series that range in difficulty from preliminary all the way to the diploma level. So there's quite a variety of solos and pieces there. Sorry, no crash in chapter 1. I apologise. I'll start again. So that's super easy, as we all know, but we're talking about how to pass on knowledge to people that don't know what's going on yet. So it's a really easy way to get started. Just changing the melody up with a simple idea. And moving on to fill number 8. So a very simple idea can transform into a whole heap of different fills without really too much pain or suffering for the student. Now, the next thing that I move on to with my teaching is learning how to enter a fill on the second beat of the bar. One of the many errors that we make when we're learning the drums is learning where to enter into the fill and how to exit the fill confidently and successfully. I know that a lot of drummers have a bit of a battle with this. We can all do it, but we're not talking about us, we're talking about students, okay? So if we learn to start on the second beat of the bar and return on the number one. And then we can move that around. If we have a look at fill number 10. The next challenge is to learn how to start a fill on the ands. Now, just to clarify my particular language, when we've got our downbeats, they're on the numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4. Our upbeats are on the ands, okay? So we're talking upbeats on the ands. So if we start on the and after the 1, and I recommend a left-hand start, and of course if you're a lefty, you reverse all that. It gets you back on the first beat of the bar confidently without being too tangled. It's that tangled thing that I've found a lot of students have trouble with, okay? So here we go. I love moving things around, creating a different melody with a simple rhythm. It's something that we can do as drummers to be tasteful, and I try to encourage my students to do the same. We're about to start talking about Chapter 2, 16th note fills, okay? Here we go. Fill number 15. So again, it's that simple concept of once you can do a fill and we move it around. There's plenty of other variations, but I'm just giving you a bit of a snapshot here at the moment. Fill 33, we're starting 16th notes on the second beat of the bar. Get into the E's and the R's, so one E-ander, two E-ander, or one E-ander, two E-ander, etc. Okay, so it's all those kind of variations. And if you have a look at them, there's 88 variations there, so it gives the students a ton of stuff to work with, but it's a very gradual progression, okay? If we move on to Chapter 3, it's a complete study of three-stroke fills, okay? So So again, we're starting to just begin the fills on a different part of the bar with this subject of three strokes. Chapter 4 is all about flams. Now, a handy trick that works with the starting of doing flam fills is putting some bass drums in between the flams, because it gives the student a little bit of room to get the grace note inside the flam. Notice there's a little 16th note preceding the flam, just gives it a little bit more bite. A flam can give you a generation of a little bit of power and a little bit of grunt, okay? now installing some flames inside their rolls, okay, with some bass drums as well. Now, the final chapter in Volume 1 is all about triplet fills. Now, this chapter could be played with shuffles, jazz, halftime shuffles, hip-hop, punk rock, all that kind of stuff. I chose to chart it as shuffle beats, and one of the things that I try to pass on to my students when they're learning this sort of thing is that shuffle note. If you look at fill number one there, that shuffle note just before the fill. Sometimes at fast speeds it can be a bit hard to get that, get that movement. At faster speeds, I recommend deleting that note. You're better to just drop the note out and leave a bit of space than lose timekeeping. And at medium tempos, you just choose what you think fits the song the best, and at slow tempos, of course, you throw that note in, okay? So. Because of the groups of three, sometimes it can be a little awkward moving around the kit and getting the right combinations. So we can break the triplets up into 2+4 or 4+2, and that gives us an easy movement so that, again, so they're not tangled, okay? So if we have a look at fill number 3, we've got, when we move to the toms, it's 4+2, and it moves quite easily. And number 21, the fourth beat of the bar. Here we go. Let's go through a couple of fills in volume 2. I'm going to start with fill number 3. It's amazing how just mixing up a few 8ths and 16ths and dollar notes can just give such a different sound. It's not a massive change, it's just a little bit. Space is something we as drummers shouldn't totally ignore, in my opinion. Sometimes the note you don't play can be the sneakiest note. When everyone expects a note there, just get a little bit sneaky. It's not a bad trick. Okay, so getting into some accents, there's a couple of pages of accent studies. I'll just play a fill or two for you. So fill number 40. So again, getting a few different gaps in your playing can make it more interesting than just a continuous pattern all the time. Just mix it up, throw in some crashes in, gives you a little bit of grunt. One of the things that is the theme that I'm trying to work on with this book is marrying ideas from previous chapters and techniques, and it just keeps growing bit by bit. So they already know a flam, they know this, they know that. Throw it in 12/8 time and mix it up, okay? The concepts learnt in this chapter can definitely be transformed to 6/8 and 9/8 time as well. You know, you can pick an idea and move it into the other time signatures, okay? Chapter 3 introduces 30-second notes. Again, it's just a very gentle progression. 30 seconds haven't been covered at any stage previous to this chapter. And this chapter is about just doing double tap 30-second notes, and then there's more advanced ones in volume 3, okay? Now this mixes up double taps on the E's and the R's just to create some different patterns, again, different rhythms. Number 60. So chapter 4 is all about triplets in straight ahead rock playing, okay? The triplets back in volume 1 were all about shuffle and swing and stuff. It's a very different concept playing triplet fills in straight ahead rock playing, okay? Melodic thing going on there too, which I know Master Pi will know exactly what's going on. But when you're putting a melody like that, you're actually giving an illusion of quaver triplets, aren't you? So it's just a sneaky little thing you can do with your melodies as well, mixing up melodies with rhythms. that right, left, left pattern in the triplet I've found to be a very helpful little tool through my career. Breaking up double bass drum work with hands can work really well, where you do a section of your notes with your hands and some of them with the feet, okay? This next thing I'm passionate about too. When choosing a fill, I strongly believe that the main objective should be to make the song sound better. I'm talking in the real world, not solo stuff and putting something together for YouTube. I'm talking when you're playing in a band or doing a recording. The essence of the selection of the fill is, does it make the song sound better? That's what it's all about. Fills should be a means of enhancing the composition, not a chance for us to prove how many notes we can squeeze into a bar. Most writers and producers don't appreciate over drumming. Being that you're all teachers, you already know that anyway. When you go over the top in the studio, they just get the baseball bat out. They don't like it, okay? So unless you're doing a fusion thing or something, which the next sentence, however, some styles do require busy and aggressive playing. In this case, our job is to go for it. So when you're playing something full on, I absolutely believe play full on. We need to be tasteful, okay, and put expression into the song. As teachers, we have to teach our kids that, don't we? Teach our students that, because they're going to get a really nasty experience in the studio if they go in and their sole purpose is to show off when they're doing a recording session for a song. It's not going to be cool. Whereas if the producer or the songwriter says, hey, there's a spot there where I just want you to go crazy. Just play like a teenager. You go, oh, okay, you sure? And you go, yep, and off you go. You go crazy. But most times we can't get away with that stuff. So being tasteful, in my humble opinion, is very important to how we drum, to songwriters, compositions, etc. That's it for me. I've finished raving on and annoying you. If anyone's got any questions, I've got all the time in the world to chat and speak to you. That's all fine. If not, a genuine thank you again to all the staff here who have put this together and helped me celebrate the launch of my series, because it means an awful lot to me. I'm really grateful. Thank you to all of you who have given up your Sunday night to come out here. I hope that a few seeds have been planted for you to help you with your teaching on the subject. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it.
Okay, let's give Mark another round of applause. He has done all the exams. He has been examining since the whole of today, right? And you can see he's still going strong. Okay, it's not easy because he has to write all the transcripts and everything all the way until 6 o'clock, and we rush him here for the gig at 7. Okay, so thank you very much, Mark. Yep. Okay, and feel free to stay behind, ask him some questions. Okay, if not, we will end today's session. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys. So here we are at the MDS headquarters, just winding down after a busy day and a busy night. So wrapped that the whole thing's gone so well and that so many of James's educators from MDS turned up tonight, and I hope that they all learnt some stuff. I think some of them did walk away inspired with some ideas, which is great, about teaching and how to use these books with their teaching. So it's been a great night, really, really good night. With the books, just rounding off, don't forget there's 3 volumes, and get details on how to get your hands on a copy, etc. You can visit my website, www.markmurphymusic.com.au, and there's a YouTube channel as well, Drums9842, which has some vision on there already of some of the solos, and I'm putting more content on with that, and there'll be some tutorials on the subject as well. I really can't thank everybody enough for all their help launching my books. It's something that I've been working on for a long period of time, and something I'm really passionate about, so I'm real grateful, very grateful.